Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight, shameful and shocking scenes in Haryana today of supporters of a man who calls himself a Godman attacking police with weapons while the police brutally beat up the media instead. Are these Godmen or goondas? Has the Haryana government acted too late and were they too soft on Rampal? Also tonight in our special programming in the run-up to the Hindustan Times Leadership Summit, tonight is India's social harmony under threat? We'll bring you that discussion in about 30 minutes from now. But first, the big story today. The violent clashes that broke out in Hisar in Haryana when the police went to arrest self-styled Godman Rampal from his ashram. He's wanted for contempt of court in a murder case and police have a Friday deadline to arrest him from the High Court. But what they faced was firing and even crude bombs from the so-called Baba's supporters. In fact, the ashram is also holding innocent people, women and children hostage inside, using them as virtual human shields. Bizarrely, the police then turned on the media, brutally beating many journalists, including the NDTV crew. More than 70 journalists have been injured today. Police say in their defense that they're handling what they called a very tough situation and trying to avoid casualties. Rampal himself is still missing. In fact, a police operation to try and enter that ashram has now been called off this evening. The police say they don't want to act tonight because they fear that the number of casualties could go up. The big question is whether the state government in Haryana has deliberately been too soft because this involves a self-styled Godman. Joining us on the program tonight from the BJP, its spokesperson, Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao. Randeep Singh Surjewala, the spokesperson of the Congress party, also with us this evening. Author and activist Rahul Ishwaran joins us tonight from Trivandrum. Ajay Gautam, the spokesperson of the Shankaracharya Swarupanand Saraswati, here in the studio with us. Professor Irfan Habib, well-known author and Irfan Habib, author and historian, and Mr. B.K. Gupta, the former commissioner of the Delhi Police. Let me first ask you, Mr. Rao, that, you know, what we have seen today has been utterly shameful. It has been utterly shocking that this man has been holding the state government of Haryana to ransom, not just today, but over the course of several weeks. Why can't the state authorities, why have they been unable to arrest him? They've just seem to have given him too much leeway, too much rope.
I think it's important for me to inform your viewers. I think our government was formed only on the 26th of October, which is barely 3 weeks before, and he was expected. The court had issued contempt proceedings against Mr. Rampal. He was supposed to present himself in the court on November 10. When he failed to appear, I think from 13th onwards, the state local administration cut off supply of power, supply of water, and even all supplies from outside were controlled. But there was a huge build-up that had happened for several weeks before. It's not something that has happened in the last 10 days. So certainly,
Mr. Rao, I'm just going to read out to you. I'm going to read out to you what happened in November. On the 10th of November, the government of Haryana said that Rampal was unfit to travel. On that same day, they cited a law and order problem in actually arresting him. So this is not the previous government, this is your government. Despite the fresh warrant that the court issued, the government allowed Rampal's supporters to gather for a satsang. That was on the 11th of November. On the 16th, there was security that was lifted from the ashram in the evening so that supporters could go and get supplies for the ashram. So even though, like you said, the basic water and electricity was cut off, at the same time security was lifted so that the supporters could go out and get the supplies that they needed. And then of course they failed to produce him once again in court. Now this is all related to the BJP government in Haryana, sir, not the previous regime. This is all that's happened since the 10th of November.
True, but you see, the fact that he is using a large base of his supporters, and some of them who seem to be now in confinement and custody, using women and children. This is not expected of a self-styled Godman, and the BJP has absolutely no remote connection with Mr. Rampal. And if you have heard the statements of Mr. Huda today, the former chief minister, you will understand. In fact, he possibly enjoyed political patronage in the state for several years. You see, today Mr. Huda says while this is happening, a warlike situation is there on the ground. He says let the government enter into some kind of a peaceful agreement with him. Let force not be used. These are the words of the former chief minister who
I've just pointed
Haryana
out
for
to you.
10 years.
I have just.
So maybe they
what the Congress government has done
him.
is an issue, and that is something that must be debated. But at the same time, I've just pointed out to you what has happened under your regime. May I also ask you then, why did the police decide to beat up the media? I mean, they are now saying that they will investigate what happened if there has been an incident. But 70 journalists have been beaten up, Mr. Rao. What did the media do wrong?
No, I think there is certainly this is something that is not acceptable. I think at the party forum also we have raised serious objections to it. I think media personnel were first allowed to go to the site, which was a very difficult situation on the ground. And there were a lot of, I think, more than 100 police people got injured in the clashes in the morning. The media also could have actually had casualties. So the police should have actually taken preemptive action and informed media friends about the possible threat there. But having allowed them there, if some policemen have misbehaved, it's very evident on the screens. I'm not disputing this at all. So I think the responsible police officials or the constables, whoever is responsible, whoever has given such instructions will certainly face,
I think that's a fair point that you're making,
and a due action will be taken against them.
Okay, so let me ask Mr. Gupta, from your experience, sir, do you believe that in a sense the police has then allowed themselves and the state to be held hostage by Rampal and his supporters? Should it have reached this situation at all, or do you believe it was really out of their control?
In my opinion, the police have adopted the right strategy. You see, they have to see that innocent citizens are not harmed. And you have seen today about more than 100 people have suffered injuries, major and minor both. So in the entire process, it is the innocent people who are getting suffered and they are getting injured. In fact, if he is calling Mr. Rampal, calling himself a saint, he should have abided by law, he should have surrendered before the court of law, before the police. Instead of allowing people, innocent women and children, he is using them as shield, and then their life is getting at jeopardy.
But you don't believe that there was a complete lack of political will to be tough on him from the start, and therefore the police also didn't act?
You know, police have to see that there is not too much of collateral damage. They have to see, after all, there is a huge number of supporters, and they are preventing the arrest of self-styled Godman, Mr. Rampal. Now they have to see that they don't use unreasonable use of force. You see, there is a mandate to the police authorities also, don't use force which is beyond sort of, it is not causing too much of injuries to the people. They have to ensure that.
Sir, I think he has not turned up in court 43 times in the last several years. And
no, in fact,
there's a sense that the police and the state administration is soft on him, whatever the regime may be, because he is a self-styled Godman. So someone can call themselves a saint and pretty much get away with anything.
No, I completely agree with you. And what I have seen today, last couple of days, the police are determined to arrest him, but they have to see that the people don't suffer unnecessary injuries. In the process today, you have seen 100 people are injured.
And what about the way they dealt with the media? You are in the police. What do you think prompted that?
Yeah. If anything, what you have shown here, certain media people are injured, and if there is a police high-handedness in respect of that, I think the authorities will take appropriate action.
Professor Habib, the problem in this country seems to be this issue then, it boils down to the Godmen. You can call yourself a Godman and, like I said, pretty much get away with anything, irrespective of which religion also, I may add.
You see, this is very unfortunate, and it is not actually the first case which has happened in India. We have seen, like, since last year, one of the Godmen actually is in prison, and Gautam ji has been participating in debates on his issue as well for quite some time. And now this new man appears. Now the way things are happening, there is a very clear nexus of politicians and these Babas, whosoever the political party, the politicians. The Congress has been doing it. BJP has been using him for electoral gains, and they have openly actually went to him and asked for his support, etc., which he did. Now, these people get, like, power gets into their head. because they have that that clout which they enjoy through this political power which comes to them. In this process, a large number of innocent people who get trapped in this train of bugs, etc. And what Gupta ji just said, police didn't take action because a large number of innocent people were around. First of all, why the police actually allowed so many people together?
Exactly.
It shouldn't have happened. There is section 144 over there. Why did you actually allow such a situation to happen where you are actually
you allow your supporters to gather,
and then you come to a situation where you can't do anything. So these are issues which administration has to think about.
No, so Randeep Singh Surjewala, the point also is then about the political nexus that Professor Habib talks about. That politically, these godmen, you know, irrespective of the parties in power, derive their power from politicians who endorse them, who are too scared to act against them, who will not act against them.
This is true of other religions as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Within
I said
Islam,
irrespective of
you have
religion.
so many people who are actually
people issuing fatwas all the time.
Issuing fatwas all the time.
Yeah. Yes, Randeep Singh Surjewala.
Well, Nidhi, let me put some facts straight in this case. I don't think so. My friend from BJP, when he blames the former Chief Minister and the former Congress government, was stating correct facts. The correct facts are like this. Firstly, let me tell my friend, as also your viewers, that it is the last Congress government which lodged a murder case on this Sant Rampal, murder of 2 or 3 people, for which he is currently being tried, for which he is also been summoned to the court, and for which he is on bail, on which judgment has been now reserved for cancellation by the High Court of Punjab and Haryana. So due action was taken by the previous government. The second issue is, why did the current government, the responsibility for maintenance of law and order and upholding the law and constitution is that of the government. Why was government giving excuses like, oh, we cannot arrest him for fear of law and order?
Absolutely.
Why were they permitting so many of his disciples, including women and children, to be collected? Why were they waiting to take action at all till they became human shields? Why did they let the situation become as it is, so explosive as it is becoming today? What was the government doing all these days, and the state's law and machinery doing all these days? Were they sleeping? Were they tacit? Were they supporting it latently?
But Mr. Surjewala, let me ask you before I take that back to the BJP. Let me ask you
BJP must answer
that somebody like Rampal doesn't raise a private army, quote unquote, overnight. You know, these things take time to do. So, you know, that's not something that happened suddenly when the Haryana government changed and the BJP came to power. How was he able to do that? I mean, it is astounding that these people had access to weapons, to, you know, they were able to make crude bombs and throw them at the police. You know, it looks like the police is completely helpless, and that didn't happen when the BJP took over. That didn't happen overnight, Mr. Surjewala.
Well, Nidhi, let me begin by saying there is no adversarial war between BJP and us here. Both of us are interested in peaceful resolution of this dispute. Having said that, when the first dispute took place in Karotha in Rohtak with the same Baba Rampal, not only was he evicted within 24 hours, 2 persons who died in firing from his side, from his disciples, Baba and all his supporters were duly arrested and booked under for murder 302 and other related offences, for which he is currently facing trial. Question today is how to amicably resolve the issue without harming innocent bystanders, including women and children. Can the state fulfill its obligation of arresting a person who refuses to honor law and the constitution and is beating up press people, breaking their cameras, vandalizing their vans, mercilessly beating them up? Is that a solution to the problem?
Okay, I'm going to get Mr. Rao to respond. Mr. Rao, give me a minute.
Press,
give me a minute.
You cannot hide behind your own wrongdoings.
Okay, Mr. Rao, give me a minute. I just want to get the other panelists in, and I will come back to you for a response to that. And to Rahul Ishwaran first. That Rahul Ishwaran, the problem is that in the name of religion, you know, you have these Babas and these Godmen, as they call themselves, who then take people for a ride. I mean, there's absolutely no justification for what this Rampal is doing. He calls himself a Godman. He says that he's connecting people with God, and his supporters are violently attacking the police. They're holding people hostage, women and children. What kind of spirituality is this?
This is no spirituality. Whatever happened today is very unfortunate, and whatever said and done, media and courts are the watchdog of democracy. There is no justification of the attack of media. However, we should understand this is a very sensitive and explosive situation. As you said, this doesn't happen overnight, and we should also know those arguments which may sound good in a TV studio channel discussion may not happen on ground. Those arguments and position may not hold water in the ground. We should understand that he is a person with a large following. Many people willingly are coming for him. We should understand the nuances on the ground. It's easy to brand somebody Godman and do a witch hunt. But beyond that, he is a person revered by many. We can accept or reject that. But he is a person revered by many. So police can only take a cautious step. Just look at the CM's position. CM has appealed that he should come to the court. And all the spiritual-minded people of India will only appeal to him to abide by the law. We believe law is equal for everyone. Having said that, there cannot be a soft peddling, neither a hard peddling of the whole issue. So
now, what does hard peddling mean?
Those arguments which may sound good in a channel discussion may not.
But Rahul Ishwaran, my point is, the gentleman has evaded appearance in court more than 40 times. Is he above the law because he calls himself a spiritual leader or whatever he calls himself? Is he above the law because of that?
No. Absolutely no. Nobody is above the law. We believe Indian law, even God and Godmen or gurus or everyone should come below Indian law. But when you apply that law, we should have practical intelligence and on-ground intelligence to tackle that. As you can see, the government, the organizations are not saying he is above the law or he should not appear in the court. But we are only saying we should have practical common sense in making the situation go forward and find a sensitive balance so that we can have a position forward on this.
But I don't understand, Gautamji, you're here. What is that balance going to be? You've just heard my criticism of what is happening here. क्या आप मानते हैं कि ये बाबा रामपाल इन्होंने जो आज किया है, क्या is this spirituality?
It cannot be justified at any manner, and I am not support any act of Baba Rampal and whatever he is doing deliberately with the help of his supporters. But now what is the magnitude of this problem? For last 50 years, the Congress and BJP both are passing the balls to each other. Last 50 years, if you see, the Congress gives the liberty to some special religious leader of a special community like Akbaruddin and Asauddin. They publicly defame the Hindu god and goddess, but nobody can take any legal step against them. Now the BJP coming the power in the center or state both, and now they are doing the same thing. When your two minister of your state government is bent their knees before Rampal, ki please come and surrender yourself in the court, in that manner, what do you think? When you won on the vote of Hinduism, when you won on by the support of Baba Rampal, in the same case, you cannot take any hard step against Baba Rampal. First. Secondly, there is a quote in the logo of Supreme Court, Yato Dharmas Tato Jaya. That means that judicially, either the other authorities will be established for the establish the values of the religion. That means कि सबका सब सद्भाव कह लीजिए, सद्भाव and all these things. But now what is this going in running days? The Hindu sons, they are targeting for last 5 years for some hidden agenda. We don't identify.
Who's targeting?
Some hidden for the BJP government is come just four months ago, and now the Haryana government and BJP government come just few days ago. Only thing last 5 years you said that either a Shankaracharya of Hindu he sent to the jail. Either he sent to the jail.
You're saying that Hindu sons are being targeted?
The Hindu sons are targeted. I am not defending Baba Rampal. What he is doing, he should be punished accordance with law. But my thing is that from this year, the Hindu son deliberately targeting